Okay, okay, fine. Now, if you see, yesterday what we did was we spoke about Spring Framework, right? And in Spring Framework, we discussed why actually we need framework, and we were there at IoT, right? Inversion of control.
Yeah.
And I told you that there are various frameworks that provides to this particular capability, right? Why we need it? I told you there are various ways in which you can manage dependency. First one was hard coded, right? Second one was factory pattern, if you remember. And third, I told you is DI, dependency injection, or IOC, that is inversion of control, right? Here we decided that all dependents and dependencies, right, will be managed by IOC container. Similar to web component, like web component are managed by web container. Similarly, dependencies and dependents will be managed by IOC container, right? So these IOC containers are provided to you by certain frameworks. One of them is Spring Framework, right? If someone is asking you what is Spring Framework, what is Spring Framework? You can say that it's a IOC container. It's a framework that provides IOC container, right? Plus it provides AOP, that is aspect oriented programming features, plus it provides integrations. Okay? Plus simplify development for developers, right? And increases reusability of code. Apart from that, you can also say it complements JEE or other frameworks even, right? Is that right? These are some of the words or keywords you have to use whenever you get questions regarding benefits of Spring Framework and all. Okay. So question is, what do we need in order to set up Spring Framework? Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I have unfortunately this, so I'll just go and create a Java project, right? I can go to others, and if you see, we have Maven also here, right? We can create Maven project also, and we can add the dependency, which will pull all Spring related jars from Maven repositories. Okay, let me go and do that. I'll create a simple project. I'll just go and specify location here. And let me create a new folder here and write here Spring. Now this is one of the ways which I'm using. Click on open. So now your project will be a Maven project which will be stored in Spring. Okay? Is that clear?
Okay.
Right. I'll go and click on next. Now if you see here, it provides you different archetypes. Okay, so probably you will not get Spring archetypes in this. Okay, if you are not having that archetype, no issues, you need not worry about it. Here you see you have app fuse, Spring module, you have app fuse, right? So these are some of the archetypes which are provided to me because I have added certain other plugins as well. Okay, you need not worry about it. I'll just go and see all catalogs. Right, and in all catalogs also you can just go and see. In case if it is there, it's fine. If it is not there, it's fine. Now I'll assume that it's not there because it will not be there on your system because you have not added those plugins which I have here. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll go back, I'll create a simple project. Next, so this is the place where you have to specify group ID, artifact ID, right? Now what do we need? We need Spring Framework. So I need to know what is the group ID that I have to specify, what is the artifact ID that I have to specify in order to go and get that particular dependency. Okay, right? Is that clear? So how to get it? Because you have to work with Spring, you have to work with Struts, you have to work with JS. There are various frameworks which you have to work with. So probably you will not remember always. Okay. So what I'll do, you see, I'm just going here and doing this, right? And here what I will do, I will write here Maven for strings, right? And here you see obtaining string 3 artifact with Maven. This is there on blog or on various other documentations you will get. Okay. So now you see it has provided you what all is needed. You see, its property is what? This is what is property, and then you have dependency. This is what is one dependency, Spring core, right? Then you have Spring expression, then you have Spring beans, then you have Spring AOP, then you have Spring context, then you have Spring support, then you have Spring TX, so transaction, Spring JDBC, Spring ORM, Spring OXM, Spring web, Spring MVC. These all are the dependencies. It's clear, right? Now, it depends. If I want to work only with core Spring, I don't need ORM, I don't need OXM, I don't need web, right? Because Spring comes with n number of components. If I want to use Spring capabilities in terms of JDBC simplification, I will need Spring JDBC. If I don't need, I will not take it up, right? So whatever modules are there in Spring framework, it's not necessary that you have to go and get all. You have to just go and get some of them. Is that clear? Clear, right?
Yes.
Fine. Now where to make this entry? You see properties is there. Here. Depending on the version that you want, I'll just go. I'll copy this. Now this is the shared version number. Like here, org.spring framework is the group ID, right? Which version of Spring? That it will get from properties. So I'll go here, right? I'll cancel it. I'll go here. New. I'll go and I'll create again. Other. I'll go to Maven project. This is a one-time task. Next. Browse the same location. I'll go in one. Next. And I'll write my project because this is my project, right? So I'm writing my project. Artifact ID also I will write my project. Right. I'll go and I'll click on finish. Overlap the location. Once you have used that location again, you cannot use. I'll just go to other. positive. Otherwise, it might have created. Just wait. Should also work, but it never worked because of some issue. Because I have added some 10-15 different plugins in this. Because the objective of this was give us you say store. Now, important one is this form.xml. If I open this form.xml, you'll find here dependencies, right? As of now, there are no dependency, right? Then you'll find here form.xml. As of now, this form.xml is your project, okay? Right? It's there, right?
Okay.
Fine. Now what we need to do is we need to go and add our dependencies here. I'll go here, click on add. You see it is asking what? Group ID, right? I'll go here, and if you see group ID is what? org.spring framework. Right? I'll just take this. An artifact ID. Artifact ID I have to specify Spring Core.
Group ID is my project, right?
No, group ID is not my project. My project is group ID of your project, not of Spring project. We need Spring ZAR. So that also is a project which is created by someone. So that our project depend on it. So we are going to take all those ZAR. So we have to specify group ID of that particular library on which my project is dependent, right?
Okay.
Okay. I'll take artifact ID here. Now if you see version, for version we are specifying here a property, right? And this property is configured here, right, as properties. Otherwise also what you can do is you can go and directly specify version as 3.0 or whatever you want. Okay, 3.0. I can specify this. Is that clear? It's clear, right? Niharika, is that clear?
Yes, yes.
I'll click on OK. Now if you see Spring Core is added to it. Now similarly I will go and I'll add some more. Whatever I feel is important as of now. I'll go here. I'll copy this group ID. Group ID is common. Spring Beans, and we'll take Spring Context. And we'll take Spring Context Support. So whatever library we need, we can go and we can add here. So group ID was what? org dot Spring Framework, right? So we'll just go and take it. org dot Spring Framework, right? Artifact ID, we have already added Spring Core. We can go and add what? Spring Beans. Okay, that's what we have here. Spring Beans, right? Okay. Apart from this, version you can specify 3.0 or whatever you want. I'll just go and click on OK. So now we have Spring Beans also. Now what we can do, we can quickly go here and we can add more dependencies to it. Just copy this. Spring Beans is there. I will add here Spring Context. Right? We have added Spring Beans. We have added Spring Context. We'll add Spring Context Support as well. Right? Yes. So we have Spring Core, we have Spring Context, we have Spring Context Support, we have Spring Beans, right? So these are some of them which we want to be part of our project. Now if someone wants to include our project, right, what group ID he will use in their project? They will have their own project, and in that project they will go and add dependency as string1. So I can distribute my project also now as a Marvin. I'll save it. Okay, is this clear? Yes. Let's see. Fine. Now what we will do is, let me go and validate it. Validation has no error, and these are missing because still we have not downloaded it, right? Okay, we have not downloaded it, right? It is saying missing artifact because it is still not part of the project. Now what I will do is, I'll just go here, select it, I'll go to run as, and I'll select Marvin clean. So the minute I select Marvin clean, it will start activity. The build successful, and now it should go and it should search from the repository. So I'll just go here, run as Marvin install. So it says no dependent information available. It means for this there is nothing. Okay, you see this form for this is missing. It means from existing repository we cannot just go and get these jar files. Okay, so it happens sometimes you may not point to right repository as well, right? So there are ways in order to go and point to right repository. What I will do is I will just remove this version from here. It's optional, it's not mandatory, and then we will see. Okay, because Spring is managed now by whom? By VMware. So sometimes what happens, VMware can go and they can replace the repository. So it will try to hit that, it will not get it. Let me try with this 3.1. Otherwise we have one straightforward way which we can use. Now 3.1, I'll just go here. I'll again try to run as Marvin build. Run. It is getting stuck here. We can directly get jars also, but I don't want that. I want you to get it from Marvin only. This part is it's not able to get this. Specify the repository. Once I specified these repositories, those errors are gone, right? Fine. So this is what you have to specify, right? Sometimes what happens in case if you have plugin which directly points to Spring, for example, if you download Spring ID and then when you go and write COM, you need not do all this. Since we are using a different ID, different plugin, we have to go and we have to manage that. Now if you see, you have Spring, right? I'll just go and remove this scope from here. Let me remove this scope. Save it. Try for this. Build successful. Now we'll try to run. So now if this URI which we have specified is still active, we will get it from there. I will install. Could not resolve string 1 string.zar. So it's, you see, whenever these kind of errors come, right, you have to go and you have to check it. It's copy paste, no? Okay. And it is difficult to keep all this in mind. You need to just understand the concept, because once you move forward, you will find again it is not getting. Now you see it is fetching. You are able to see? It is fetching, right? The problem was what? Version. So what are the steps in order to configure Maven? Can you just tell me now? Let's repeat this file. Okay. It's important because now most of the projects are being done using Maven. So you will frequently. Now pom.xml file is something that we use in order to actually go and configure our project and make that project available in form of Maven. Okay, that's what we do. So you see here, this part is Maven for your project. Okay, and then what you are doing is you are saying that I am going to fetch dependencies from this repository. So you can specify this as repository. This is the repository from where actually it will try to fetch. Okay. Now please be careful when you are using this, because sometimes it may change, right? Open sources, right? So they will keep on changing sometimes, right? And then you be careful with the group ID. You cannot just go and use whatever you want. Okay. You have to be specific in identifying the group ID, artifact ID, and then version ID. Once you have identified this, what you have to do? You have to clean. Okay. Once you clean, what happens? If you see Maven dependencies, you got all that, right? Are you able to see?
Yes.
Fine. These asks were pulled from these repositories. Okay. Now, whenever a new dependency needs to be added, just go here, get the group ID, artifact ID, and version of that particular dependency, and add it here. Okay. Is that clear? Once you will add this, clean it. It will go and again fetch you the required jars. Okay. So if you see, it has fetched the required jars, and now you have certain classes, interfaces, all ready, which can be used as a Spring project. Is that clear?
Yes.
It's clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now let's go and write the project, and then we'll see. Once you have done till here, next step is to go and start taking benefit of Spring Framework. Now, Spring Framework objective is to help you in managing dependency. Yesterday we wrote, today again we are going to write. I'm going and taking classes directly. I'm creating a package here, com.dependent. Okay. I'll give a name to the class. Let me name it as dependent. Click on finish. And I'll take here a class whose name is dependency itself, like yesterday. Okay. In dependent, I'll go and I'll write the same kind of method, public string do work. If you remember, we wrote something similar to this, right? I'll write here return work done. Right, so I have written a dependent. I'll go to dependency. In dependency also I will write something here, public void do task. I'll take here this out, do task called. Now your dependent is dependent on this dependency, which I'm going to declare here.
Dependent.
Okay, and here it is dependent for making call to a message. I'll go and I'll write here. Okay, till it's clear, right? Now you have a choice. Either you go and write main. So I will write one main without IOC, and second main I will write where I will create IOC container, right? And I will configure dependent and dependencies. Okay, right? So let me write first what actually tells you that IOC container gets created. What happens behind the scene I will tell you once we are at least understanding how actually to write code. I'll write a test client. Click on finish. Now what I need to do here is I need to go and write XML file. Okay, that XML file will contain how actually my metadata need to be configured. Okay, is that clear? How metadata need to be configured? It's clear, right? Fine. Now, in order to do that, what we have to do is we have to create a file with any name, whatever you want. So I'll go here to Spring Tools, which is added, and I'll add Spring Project Nature. So if you see, M and S is coming. Now, next what I will do is I'll select SRC, right click, and I'll go to others. I'll see if Spring is there here. Different plugins will add in different ways actually. One second. Here is Camel. Okay, framework is Spring. So just in your case it will be simple Spring file. I'm writing beans.xml. Click on finish. Right. You will not get this. Don't worry. Now here what I'm getting is I'm getting a file with certain namespaces. Okay, I'll remove all this. Wherever camel is there, that is not required. Okay, and I'll go and I will configure my bean. See, bean ID equals to, I'll write dependent, right? Am I audible now? Okay, fine. So you let me know till where you were sharing, because I think that I have to connect here. Okay, fine. So I was here, right? So what we did, we defined. That's me. We are telling this to our IOC container. Okay, we are telling this to our IOC container, that IOC container has to manage. I mean, as a developer, I will not bother how to create the object of dependency and dependent. I will just ask IOC container, right? So when you go and load IOC container, for example, when you go and talk about EJB, there is a file called as EJB.jar or your annotations, right? Your container will read those annotations and then it will go and configure it at runtime. Same is the case here. When you specify your IOC container, please read this XML file and configure. It does what? It goes and creates instances of the objects which you have specified in Bean, right? And it keeps it in the container ready for use. Okay. Now I need to ask my container, give me an object of dependent, right? So let's see whether it is creating or not. For that, what I will do, I'll just go and I'll write here default constructor of dependency. I'm going source, create constructor. Now this is very important to understand, because you should not get confused from where object is getting created. I'll write here dependency created, and I'll go to dependent also, and I will write constructor here as well, default constructor, because your container will always look for default constructor until and unless you will not do something to tell constructor that you please call constructor with 2 arguments or 3 arguments. Okay. So any container, whether it is your Hypernet or whether it is your persistence engine or whether it is your EJB container, all will always look for default constructor, right? Similarly, IOC container also, when it will go and create, it will always look for what? Default constructor. Is this clear? Kani, is that clear? Why we wrote beans.xml and who are going to read this beans.xml? It's clear, right? Okay, good. Now I will write client here. Public static void main. I'll pass here string args. Now in this, what I will do is I have to create IOC container, because I am working with unmanaged environments. I have to create IOC container, right? In web container, I can ask my server to create IOC container. Here, I am going to create my IOC container, for which you have various classes. XML. Let me see. Class path XML application context CTX equal to new class path XML application context. Here you have to pass beans.xml, whatever file you have created. Is this clear? Now what it does? This creates IOC container and reads beans.xml to populate it with configured objects. Okay, that means it is now Beans' responsibility. It's now IOC container's responsibility to go to beans.xml and create it. Let's go and see what happens when we run this statement. I'm just going and running this. It will throw some exceptions. We have to go and get the dependencies from here and there. Run as Java application. See what it does. Dependency created, right? You saw? So it made call to which constructor? This, right? And then dependent. I have to go and write statement here also, so that we can say, okay, it makes call to default constructor of this also. And right here, dependent create. So did we wrote anywhere new keyword? Kani, did you wrote anywhere? No, right? Who is creating the instance? IOC container, right? So when it goes and reads this beans.xml, whatever beans you have defined here, it creates those objects. Is that clear? It's clear, right? Fine. Now, now what we need to do is we need to go and get or ask IOC container to give an object of dependent equal to ctx dot get bean is the method, and you'll pass here the name. Name is nothing but bean ID that you have given. Here you have given bean ID, right? I'll get it, and I'll go here and I will paste it here. Right? We have to typecast it, and now I will make call to the method. Dependent dot do work. It returns some string, so I'll just go and post this out. Okay. Now, what is the expected output? Again, null pointer exception. I'll tell you the reason. I'll just go and run it. It creates the required instances, but it gives you null pointer exception. Why? Because we have not told our IOC container that dependent has to use which dependency, right? So when you have to specify that dependent contains a dependency, you have to go and specify which dependency to use, right? And that we do by using property. And if you see, I have to specify name of the property. Name of the property is what? Dependency. I'll go here, Control V, right? And what is the value? Value is the ID. For example, if I keep ID as 1 here, I can go and specify dependency 1 and save it. Is that fine?
Yes.
Here now I am doing what? You say I am specifying which dependency to use. This is what is called as injection. Okay? You are injecting dependency that you want to inject in dependency. Is that clear? It's clear, right? Kani, is that clear? Niharika. Okay.
Can you
now again.
One more time?
Yes. See, what we are doing is we have dependent here. Which dependency should be passed to this? My IOC container will handle it. I will not handle it. But I have to write that IOC container should use which dependency here. So I have specified here it should use dependency 1. Right? Now this is what is called as inject. So please remember, whenever you are using this property name and value, your dependent must always have setter method for this dependency. If you will not have setter method, your IOC container will not be able to make call to setter method, right? To pass the value. You just have setter, getter is not required. Okay. Now what happens? Your IOC container goes here, creates the object, dependent and dependency. And then it does the wiring, dependency, and passes this reference using setter method to this. So now it will have value, which will not be passed by you. You will not do anything. Now same code when I will run here, it will run with value. Because now it is aware about who is the dependent and what is the dependency. Okay. This is because error creating bean with name dependent defined in the class. Initialization failed. Failed to convert property time to require. Okay. There is some problem here. I'll just go to dependency. I'll go to this. You have dependency. You go to beans.xml. The spelling is correct, right?
Dependency.
Let me see the error. That may be because of typecasting. You know what is the problem? I'll go to beams.xml. Beams.xml property name is this, values dependency 1. I'll come to my dependent. Here I have dependency. Set dependency. Fine. Yeah. Okay. That's what is the problem. If you have ID, control spacebar will project you everything. If you see I am using ref, I'll just go and step. Why? Because it was when you use value here, right? It will be treated as primitive. So this is the reason why you have to use what? Ref. Ref means reference. Now it will go.
Yeah.
I'll just go and run it. And this is how actually your sprint project will go. Is that clear?
Yes. Dependent created.
Clear, right? So if you see, if you see here, I have written value here. So value always refers to what? Primitives. Okay. So whenever we use value equal to something, it is always primitive or string. Okay. When I use ref, it is reference
Address.
to other field. Is that clear? It's clear, right? Okay. Yeah, is that clear? So what steps you have to follow in order to at least write this program? Pom.xml is important, right? I want you to follow pom.xml approach so that whenever there is a dependency, you have to just go add it in the pom.xml and it will be fetched. And it will be added to what? Maven dependencies. Okay? And then try running or testing this project or program in your scenario also, in your systems also, to ensure that our systems are up. Because from here onwards, we can move fast, right? Now, if you see, if I will remove this setter method from here, from dependent, if I will not have the responding setter method, for example, I am going and commenting, you see what error comes. I'll go and I'll run this. You see, it says invalid property, right? Dependency. You don't have setter methods. It's correct. You don't have setter method, right? So what we need to do is we need to just go and ensure that if I am using here in my beans.xml property name ref or property name value, it will always look for corresponding setter method. Okay, this injection is called as setter injection. Is that clear? So what type of injection we have done? If you are using property here, it will look for what method? Setter method, right? And your IOC container first creates object and then it goes and reads property name and then ref and it makes call to what? Set dependency, right? So it is required for setter injection. Okay, right? So now we have seen objects are being created by IOC container and it is making call to setter method, right? Is that clear? It's clear, and this is called as what? Setter injection. Fine. Yarika, is that fine? What is setter injection? When
Yes.
dependencies get injected using setter method is what is called as setter injection. Okay. We have other type of injection also, which we will see later, called as constructor injection. So first what I want you to do is, I want you to understand what we did today, so that tomorrow onwards we can include Hibernate, we can take an example, a case on JDBC, and we can do it properly with the proper case study. Okay.
Okay. Okay, Niranjan.
Okay, so I want you to at least set this, understand few keywords and terminologies which are there here, like form.xml, dependence, dependency, setter injection, constructor injection, right? What is role of beans.xml, right? If I am doing setter injection, I need to specify it with property, because if you will not specify this property, it will not look for setter method at all. Okay, is that clear?
Okay.
So do till here, and then tomorrow I will be taking up a good comprehensive example and will try to explore more things in Spring along with AOP. But set up your project with this form.xml. This is very important.